Hey, we're tier listing everything in One Piece pre-time skip. Every arc, every OVA, special, and movies. And first up we have the very first one, Romance Dawn. Honestly, it was a nice start. It introduced us to Luffy, Zoro, Kobe. It was just a more simple adventure. Nothing groundbreaking when it comes to stakes, but it's still a pretty fun time. So I'm gonna give it a B tier. Orangetown's good because obviously it introduced us to Buggy the Clown, Nami, and had some really good, beautiful pieces in there. Do I think it's better than Romance Dawn? You know what? Yeah. It showed more spotlight to everyone and introduced us to more characters. The first OVA, like, it looks different when it comes to animation and art style, but it looked so cool too. I know I should put it also in B tier, but it was so fun too. Syrup Village. Now I hear a lot of people say like this is one of the least favorite ones, but the main problem with it is it didn't really have Usopp in it. And even bad arcs in One Piece are still good, so it's a C tier. Ooh, the movie. Even that was animated good. I mean, the villain wasn't there to write home about. His only power was just to scream like he was a Dragon Ball Z character. But then it was animated well. Yeah, sure, in B tier. Oh, but Baratie, yeah, that'll have to be above all of them. And it's probably the first A tier, like East Blue one. Oh, but then Arlong Park. Oh, that one's even better than Baratie. To many people, this is where One Piece, like, got good. So much foreshadowing about Fishman, character development for Nami. And had so many iconic moments. So yeah, it deserves A tier. The Buggy two-parter. Yeah, I love Buggy, but that was not the best thing. Loguetown is interesting because it gave each character some time to shine in their own episode. But the main highlights are just Usopp getting his goggles and Zoro getting his two swords. Then the rest of it is just Luffy about to get his head chopped off and introduce us to Smoker, who's recently been very underwhelming to me, at least in the pre-time skip. Oh yeah, and then we get introduced to Dragon. I forgot about that. Oh, but the second movie! It is so animated well, it's so beautiful. And even though it's just a story about, like, saving Nami, like, it's so much fun. Then this is where Luffy starts obliterating islands for no reason and casually just made a bunch of people homeless. A tier. Yeah, that seems like a good spot. This is the special that had the pirate who died, where he's, like, somehow a bird. This one was wacko. Especially the ending where how they just escaped the village. But other than that, I don't remember much. This one, Django's Carnival short. If I thought this was his fever dream, this was like it if I was overdosing on Xanax. But you can't help but have so much fun with it. And that was, so in that case, I'll put it up here. Warship Island. Yeah, that one wasn't good. It was very, very boring. The only time I got excitement out of it was randomly when Luffy was like, oh yeah, I can communicate to the dragon. My head was like, oh my god, this must be foreshadowing of something. So far it hasn't. Then the East Blue episode, it's just all the arcs on steroids. So B tier. Verse Mountain was very short, but surprisingly major consequences afterwards. But it was decent, so I'll put it in C tier. Whiskey Peak is kind of forgettable, but since I've been watching the 4Kids dub, it's been more of a highlight if I'm being honest. Yeah, there's not much with it. The Kobe stuff was also short. It was just showing what he's been up to and just him be like, I want to be stronger. And he's like, cool. Yeah, C tier too, not much special. Little Garden. Looking back, this has a lot of foreshadowing. It introduces us to the giants. Since Vivi's tagged along, she has her personality to shine. And Usopp gets his time to shine as well. But in terms of entertainment, yeah, B tier. B tier would be good. Drum Island. This was a really good introduction arc to Chopper. But other than that, the rest of it's not bad. I mean, the fight is just very simple. This is still during the time Luffy just one-taps everybody, just no-scopes them. And in terms of everything else, like Chopper's backstory, then the ending of the arc, I'll put it at A tier. It's like a low A. The soccer short was, as it says, short. It was just a fun time. Sanji just destroying the net. That's the most I remember it from it. But maybe a B tier would be good. Alabasta. I know a lot of people put Alabasta in S tier, but for me, it's more of a A tier. Mainly because of how, in the middle of it, had some of the worst character development for Luffy. Made me really hate Luffy. But then after that, it just starts getting good. Beautiful ending at the end with saying goodbye to Vivi. The remake is just fast, so it's like a B. The Chopper movie, I don't remember liking this one. I think because at the time, I didn't think Chopper would be a little bit of a coward to say, because he had his really brave moments in Drum Island and Alabasta, so then the rest of the movie I just forget about. So yeah, it's just a D tier. Post Alabasta, I don't remember much from it either, but it had some anime canon episodes. But yeah, this one's also like, this one's C tier. There wasn't much to it. Go Island. This one was surprisingly enjoyable. Very short, so it made it more enjoyable to say. It was just a very simple adventure, so yeah. Not like B tier, but it's a very high C tier. Dead End Adventure. That movie was honestly pretty good. It had a really cool setting. The animation, as always, was excellent. But yeah, it's a very high movie. That I'll put it in nice B tier. Cursed Holy Sword. The thing I remember from this movie is how much they like messed up Zoro's character for some reason. The movie was just decent. It's like a low C or medium. I forgot what this one is. Oh, wait, was this one the one with the two parents? And it was, if I don't remember it much, then I guess it's just a low C. The baseball one. This one mostly spotlighted how horrible they would be as a baseball team, so it had more of a humor factor to it. But maybe it's not better than the soccer one. I'll put it in high C. The Rainbow Island. They were stuck in time because of this random mist. And that was kind of funny, but probably a C tier. Jaya though. Jaya was so good. This arc has so much importance. It showed the next arc of Skypiea. It introduced us to Blackbeard. It made me start loving Luffy as one of my favorite characters. And with that, this is gonna be a controversial one, but this is our first S tier. Like Jaya is where I went, I might binge this show for fun, to it being an addiction. In Skypiea, I'm gonna be honest, it's probably better than Alabasta.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Because everything about it was fun. The world building of Sky Island, of course, NL. And the only complaint I would have for Skypiea is just the killing game part was a little too long. But that's the only part I would consider The remake though, I'll just put them next to the other remakes. It's probably the best one. G8, of course, everyone loves this arc. It's the best filler one. It's a fun time. I'll put it in A tier. Just everything about it was just fun. And it connected to Skypiea so perfectly that you wouldn't think it was filler. Oh yeah, this is the people call the darkest One Piece movie. I mean, yeah, it was a fun time. It's like a nice B tier. It did have a pretty good unique animation, and it was indeed very scary. Ah yes, one of the most acclaimed worst arcs in One Piece, Long Ring Long Island. I mean, it has Afro Luffy though, it's so cool. Like the concept of it was interesting, having a bet with your crew. But yeah, Foxy is just a villain. But this one doesn't deserve the hate, it's like a high C. The last stage, I don't remember much from this, other than I think Robin was just goofing around in a dress. I'll put it right here in middle C tier. Ocean's Dream is interesting as it started off as a Robin adventure. Then it had Luffy versus Zoro for the second time, which this whole arc was based on the game. That was so slow, and I remember getting lost so many times. The arc in general, it's probably also another C tier. It's like a middle. Then Foxy's return. I don't remember much from this, other than the return of Afro Luffy, which was so cool because of the music. But then this is the arc where we're teased about Robin's past. So in general, this arc should be bad, but then it has some stuff that's good, unintentionally. So I guess just below Long Ring then. The Mecha movie. I remember for some reason, there was so much jiggle physics in this. And I think this was the movie that people say teased Gear 2. So I guess it's not a bad movie either. I'll put it in. It'll be at the top of C. Water 7. Water 7. This was a phenomenal arc. I can already tell you, S. There was so much to this that was so fun. Like Water 7 looks like one of the best islands so far. Frankie, Robin's goodbye, the whole thing with Usopp. Usopp had a spotlight in like 10,000 years. Oh yeah, and then the Sanji bingo moment. So yeah, that definitely deserves S tier. And then Enies Lobby. It's obviously an S tier. Of course, introducing Luffy's gears. Just giving the spotlight to every single Straw Hat and some sort of new ability having Robin's full backstory and her I want to live moment, that was absolutely spectacular. So yeah, all that, Enies Lobby is probably the best arc so far that we listed. S+, baby. Post Enies Lobby, this one also was fun too. Everybody gets a bounty, the ending with Ace and Blackbeard, and basically being the catalyst for everything later on. The way they recruited Frankie was just stealing his panties, so he basically flashbanged everybody. I mean, moments like that, yeah, it deserves an A tier. The Boss Luffy specials, they were fine, but that would be a C tier. The episode of Chopper. I think the only reason this is popular is because of the crying meme, but there's more to it. Surprisingly, they added an extra character. Like, wasn't it like Wapple's brother? So, probably the best remake movie, so I'll put it in B tier. The Ice Hunters arc was surprisingly funny. Like, we had a random scene where Sanji and Zoro were just laughing. Sanji and Usopp versus a couple who just make out all the time. I mean, the villains aren't home to write about, but it was still somehow a good time, so it's a nice beat here. Chopper Man special, I mean, it's just Chopper. Depends if you like the character or not. Nothing to write home about. Thriller Bark. If you thought Skypiea above Alabasta was bad, Thriller Bark, to me, is an absolute S tier. Thriller Bark was so much fun and so humorous. I had a great time throughout all of it. It gave one of Usopp's best fights, the nothing happened moment, the whole team up against Oars, the couple episodes where they spotlighted Frankie and Robin. Unfortunately though, Moria isn't a very good villain per se because he's just a fat ass couch potato, but everything else about it was just a blast to get through. Spot Island, another time where Luffy just destroyed the whole place. I mean, other than that, it's beach episode. There's nothing to it. Though East Blue, yeah, that was pretty boring. Strong World OVA. This surprisingly had a lot of lore. It first showed Shanks and Buggy being part of Roger's crew. It foreshadowed Hancock. It was a very simple OVA to say. It was more so about the past. Strong World. This movie is so beautiful. It reminded me of Breath of the Wild for some reason. It gave Nami a spotlight. The fights were fun. The part where they just show up and all gunned out.
America, fuck yeah! Coming again to save the motherfucking day!
Strong World is definitely an S tier. Like, it's such a fun movie. The 3D movie. I can already tell you, the 3D shorts are gonna be in C tier. Both of them, they're generally the same thing. One's about just getting Luffy's hat, and the other one's just about a roller coaster from Disney World. Romance Dawn. In terms of stakes, there's not much to it, but seeing how it's nice parallels to the original concept is a very simple but fun Luffy one-off. Sabaody, oh my god. Oh, sweet potatoes. What an absolute amazing arc. Never in my life I want to see someone decked in the face more. It introduced us to the other captains. It had the gruesome reality of just trafficking. It's like one of the top coolest islands in design. The separation was traumatizing. Just a lot about it was setting up the stages for later arcs. Amazon Lily. This was fun because it was Luffy's first time in a while by himself, and it introduced us to Hockey, Hancock, a fan favorite for obvious reasons. So it was a fun time. I'll put it in low A. The separation arc was very messy. Like, the ordering of it was so weird. Each Straw Hat will only have like half an episode, and then even then the whole arc will be separated in between Impel Down. And my biggest complaint is, why didn't they just have their own arcs? Like, it would show off their abilities and skills other than in combat. But the execution of it was horrible. But good news, we're on Impel Down, a wonderful arc. It had Buggy again. He hadn't showed up in like 300 episodes. Bon Clay, the absolute goat himself. High stakes of Ace about to be executed. You got introduced to Jinbei. Like, what more can anyone else say about Impel Down? And then Marineford had a very slow beginning. But I mean, when Luffy showed up, the arc got excellent. Him facing the Admirals, him saving Ace, him versus Mihawk, and then of course the very tragic death of Ace, Whitebeard being an absolute great father figure. His death, the Pussybeard himself appears just to take his devil fruit. No, yeah, this is definitely high S tier. Post-war. It was cool seeing Luffy's past, but I feel like it was too long. But it was still cool. Seeing kid number 3, who's obviously still alive. If I don't see a dead body, I know it's still alive. Just seeing Luffy at his worst was absolutely heartbreaking. And then that had a wonderful ending, putting the hat on the rock. Oh yeah, the crossover. It was fun seeing the other anime. I never heard of it before. It was just fun seeing a crossover. 3D 2Y movie. This was also fun. I think this is one of the only times we'll ever see what happens in between the time skip. We see that he's been practicing arm hockey. And even though the story is very simple, it's just instead of Hancock's sisters, it's still a fun ride. The 4Kids dub. Man, it's been a pain. Eventually, I'll talk about the 4Kids dub. So, there you have it. The greatest tier list known to mankind is finally here. You can screenshot this, send this to Twitter, watch them complain about it,